Twins ready for some Big 12 softball today as the sun begins to set here in Stillwater, Oklahoma over Cowgirl Stadium. We thank you for tuning in as Oklahoma State hosts BYU. I'm Adam Hildebrand alongside Rachel Becker. Rachel, both of these teams looking to pick up their first Big 12 series wins of the season, so somebody will come out victorious on that. And for BYU, if they're going to do that, they're going to need a lot of effort from Haley Schuler. She's not starting in the circle for this game, but we're likely to see her on both sides.
And Schuler, a very talented two-way player, sophomore, transferred in from Duke. She's got a little bit of power, high average. She gets on base. She kind of does it all for the BYU offense and in the circle.
Speaking of people who have been getting it done offensively, Amanda Hassler, 2 big home runs in that win in the midweek.
And Amanda Hassler is a player that's kind of heating up lately. Like you see, 2 home runs in their last game over GCU, which was a big win for the Cowgirls. And I think she's going to be a big player in this series versus BYU today.
Well, the pitching matchup today, probably a little closer than the numbers maybe would indicate. Gianna Mara's kind of an elevated ERA, but they're really high on what to the table. And of course, we're all familiar with what Ruby Malin brings for Oklahoma State.
Super excited for this matchup. I know Coach Eakin told us when Maras is on, they can beat any team in the country. Excited to see her bring it from the left side of the plate. And then Malin, the All-American, as we know, has been so consistent for the Cowgirls this year. Excited to see her again in the series.
Cowgirls have won 2 in a row and are looking to improve upon that. BYU looking for a road victory as they open this Big 12 series. This is the Big 12 on ESPN. Here in Stillwater, about ready to get things going. BYU will lead things off as the visitors. Acosta, Owen Schuler, Brittingham, Tavita Morrow, Townsend, Udall Woolley, and Fabella. Schuler again hitting really well over the last 4 games. A team leader in both batting average and hits. They've got her in the middle of the order, hoping to be able to string some things together. This has been a season in which BYU has dealt with a lot of injuries. They've had to have some people playing some different roles, and they're looking to kind of string things together offensively, although that has been the stronger side of the two. Speaking of strong, Ruby Malin, Rachel, has been really good all year. She's coming off of a phenomenal road trip. And
like you said, BYU going to try to string some things together. It's going to be a tough job today against Ruby Malin, the senior 2-time All-American ace of this Cowgirls pitching staff. She's been outstanding, but coming off of a long weekend, she threw 3 complete games this past week, Friday, Sunday, and then on Tuesday, that win over GCU. But she's looking to come back today, and she's going to throw a drop ball to all 4 quadrants of the zone. She's got terrific accuracy, mix in a rise ball, and then also slow it down a little bit with a changeup.
Yeah, we were talking to Kenny Gajewski before the game about that rise ball and adding that to her arsenal, and it's helping her work through some of these many innings that she has pitched already this season. She's eclipsed the 100 innings. She pitched almost 80% of the team's innings on the road trip, so teams are seeing a lot of her, and she's still found ways to put together a really good season so far, an ERA of just 2.86 over 102 2/3 innings.
And that's exactly right with the rise ball, mixing in the eye level of the batters a little bit. I think last year she had more of a high fastball, and this year she's getting a little more actual rise on that pitch. And then also Coach G mentioning the changeup, mixing that in. This year she's been getting that pitch for a strike a lot, and so that's been huge for her to be able to throw that pitch for a strike and make hitters swing at that.
Quickly ahead here, 1-2 to Danica Acosta. Acosta, the sophomore out of El Centro, California. She takes outside to even the count.
Yeah, and offensively today, after talking with Coach Eakin a little bit, I loved how he said he tells his team to be aggressive. And so we're going to look for them to be swinging in the zone today. He said they have permission to strike out, but don't have permission to watch the 3rd strike.
Dribble to first base, and Godwin collects it easily for out number 1. I love that approach, specifically him talking about you're allowed to strike out. Do not go down looking. That's kind of the old school that I was brought up with as well, and it allows, I think, players to be less afraid to maybe make mistakes. Maybe you get fooled on a pitch. Hey, as long as you're putting that effort out there, sounds like he's going to be okay with it.
And I think, too, the more often that you're swinging hard, the more chances you have to connect. And sometimes we see some of these teams getting a little bit timid and waiting for, they're following a plan. They're looking for a specific pitch on a specific side of the plate in this specific velocity range. And, if you don't get that, it's really hard to adjust. But if you just go up there and hack and you swing the bat hard, good things can happen.
Swing and a miss to even the count at 1-1. Lily Owens hitting nearly, or well, a little bit north of 320 on the year. Trying to get something started. Ruby Malin would love an efficient first inning. Blew a fastball by her there. Front hand actually came off the bat on that swing. You don't see that super often. If anything, it's usually the top hand.
Now, sometimes that would happen to me when, you know, being such a high contact hitter, such as Lily Owens, you know, you're not expecting to swing and miss. So sometimes when I would swing and miss, you know, it'd take my hand off the bat, or, you know, it just kind of come as a little bit of surprise, which maybe happened to Owens there.
Swung on and missed for a strike 3 as Malin has retired the first 2 batters faced, this time via the strikeout.
Malin here just going inside with that drop ball. Like I said earlier, she throws that pitch to all quadrants of the zone, and getting it right inside the knee of that hitter Owens there is what allowed her to get that strikeout. It looks so good coming in, but it just falls off the table.
Ruby Malin leads the Big 12 in both innings pitched this season and strikeouts, right at about a strikeout per inning. She had thrown 102 2/3. She has struck out 103 now on the season. Quickly ahead to Haley Schuler. This is one of the matchups we were looking forward to. That misses just inside.
I think it was key for Ruby Malin to come into this season with a little bit of a different arsenal, since she's last year had the same role where she threw tons of innings. And a lot of these teams in the Big 12, they've seen Ruby Malin before. So her coming in, bringing in a different look with that rise ball, getting a lot of movement on that pitch, and then being able to bring in that changeup too for a strike has been huge for her.
Got the check swing for a strike. Looks like she's working on the inner third here against Schuler quite often. That time she goes outside for ball 2. We did have a lineup change. Schuler was originally listed as the DP. She'll be in the circle to start this game as well. No word on if there was something, an injury or something like that to Gianna Mares. If we hear anything, we'll let you know. But there's a swing and a miss for a strike 3, and Malin strikes out 2 here in the first inning. Ground out to first, couple of punches, and an easy 1-2-3 first for the Cowgirl defense. 15 pitches for Ruby Malin to work through the first inning, and we now head to the home half of the first as we take a look at the Oklahoma State lineup today. Tia Warsop had been hitting in the 9 spot a lot. She moves into the leadoff spot today. Then Rosie Davis, Claire Tim. It'll be Hassler, Aubrey Jones, and Godwin in the middle, and Schneidmiller, Jaden Jones, and Austin to round things out. So kind of a swap from the 1 to the 9 spot. And Kenny Gajewski, we've talked about this before, usually willing to tinker a little bit. We'll see how that plays out. And then, as we mentioned, Rachel, a different starter in the circle than we were expecting to see from the original lineup today for BYU.
Schuler originally not going to be the starting pitcher, like you said, but coming into this game, the sophomore transfer from Duke. Coach Eakin did say, though, she didn't get a ton of time pitching last year, so she kind of does come in as a freshman for BYU, and she's going to throw a lot of drop ball, a lot of curve ball, a little bit of rise ball, and then also pull the string a little bit on a changeup.
Warsop fouled off a bunt for strike 1. Schuler, a 6.28 ERA, 3-4 record in 16 appearances, 6 of them starts. 39 innings, 47 hits, 37 runs, 35 earned. She has struck out and walked 25, so right at a 1-to-1 ratio there. Check swing, went around on it for strike 2. Those are the chants of the Cowgirl dugout you hear, trying to bring some energy to this game early. Ball 1 is up and away, and they're looking for positive energy after a somewhat frustrating road trip. You win the last 2, so that certainly helps, but statistically, Oklahoma State played well enough to win 3, if not all 4 of those games on that road trip, and it just didn't turn out that way. Warsop on a dribbler. That's going to be a tough play, and she wins the race to first. I would imagine that's part of the reason Kenny Gajewski likes her in that leadoff spot. She is lightning quick.
This is a hit all day for Tia Warsup, kind of that swinging bunt type deal, and you know, if she softens it up enough down the first baseline, she's gonna beat that out all day. And like you said, I like the move up to the leadoff spot for Warsup. She's got so much speed. She's a little bit of a triple threat, can bunt, she can run, she can steal some bags, and starting off this game the right way by getting on base.
Second on the team in stolen bases this year, and this will certainly be a running opportunity. Ball one is off the mark to Rosie Davis. Davis, arguably the Cowgirls' best all-around hitter this year, hitting above 300 again. She's slugging almost 550. Average is actually slightly better with runners on base than without. She takes the ball up top.
Yeah, she's one of the most composed and confident hitters that I think the Cowgirls have had in a long time. She's got a lot of power, and I think she just has that clutch gene. Like, whenever runners get on base, she seems to be the one that is able to get that 2-out hit and bring runners around.
Early visit to the circle here for Fabella. After Schuler has fallen behind 2-0 to Rosie Davis. Are you a little more hesitant, Rachel, maybe to take off here in a hitter's count for Davis?
I would say so. Personally, yes, just because Davis is so good with the bat in her hands that, you know, and now with the 3-0 count, chances are she might get walked, and so you never want to run yourself out of an inning, especially earlier in the game. But Tia Warsup with so much speed, I could see it going either way.
I would imagine she's got the green light more often than not. 3-0. That's in for a strike. Davis looked like she was taking all the way.
I kind of want to let Schuler come in and settle in a little bit, make sure that she's hitting the zone, and see if you can get a couple base runners early. May not be as aggressive. 3-0.
Hit hard on the ground and into center field for a base hit. Warsup will hold it second. But it's a single for Rosie Davis, and the Cowgirls with something brewing here in the bottom of the first.
Two easy little singles for the Cowgirls. This is exactly what they want to do in this game, is put the pressure on early. And I think throughout the season we've seen them take a few innings to get the offense going a little bit. And I know Coach G in the pregame talked a lot about how the at-bats have been looking a lot better. They've been swinging at better pitches, and I think we've seen that so far today. They're not letting anything, you know, too far out of the zone. They're not swinging at it, and just looking to have quality at-bats today.
It helps that Oklahoma State has been able to work ahead early in a couple of these counts, although Warsup was behind. There's a bunt laid down by Tim. Tough play, and it's not in time at first. It was also mishandled at first base. Claire Tim drops down the bunt. The infield single loads the bases with nobody out for Hassler.
I love the idea to bunt here, to move the runners into scoring position. And Claire Tim on the left-hand side, she's really quick down the line and puts a little bit of pressure on the pitcher, Schuler, after she came and fielded that bunt. But, you know, that's what happens when you get your bunts down. Sometimes you're able to sneakily get on first base and move the runners over.
That bunt kind of looked like my pitching wedge when I'm chipping into the grain. It just kind of popped up, had some backspin on it, just hit and stopped. For those of you unfamiliar with golf, I'm giving myself a hard time, not bragging. A quick meeting in the circle here for BYU. And this is a convenient spot for Amanda Hassler to step to the plate, who is coming off of a 2-home-run game.
Yeah, this is exactly what the Cowgirls are looking for here. Amanda Hassler, one of the hottest hitters in the lineup. I think someone who started the season off a little bit slow compared to last year, where she was the home run leader, had double-digit home runs last season, was a all Big 12 selection, just so clutch and so much power. And I think she's starting to get hot and seeing the ball a little bit better, and that's really dangerous for the BYU pitching staff and defense.
Now starting ahead as well, Gianna Mares is warming in the BYU bullpen. To your point on Hassler, hitting 260 this year, her average in a Cowgirl uniform is 284. So a much better average year last year. That's grounded right back to the circle. One at home, the double play. big-time defensive play from Schuler in the circle to get 2.
This is a huge couple of outs for BYU. I love Schuler helping herself out, knowing immediately that she's able to get that double play. And that is just a huge momentum killer for Oklahoma State. I know they still have 2 runners in scoring position, but now with 2 outs, puts more pressure on them.
Looked like it came off the bat with a little bit of heat, but it bounced right to the eyes of Schuler in the circle, who made an athletic play to recover. Looks like BYU having some pitch comm issues, so they'll get that resolved before we get back to action. Now, if you're Oklahoma State, Aubrey Jones has an opportunity here. That takes some wind out of the sails, but there are still 2 runners in scoring position with 2 outs. Problem is the 2-out hits have been a little bit of a struggle at times for Oklahoma State this season. That is line down the right field line, and foul off the base of the wall down the right field corner.
Yeah, like you said too, I know that UCF series that we called a couple weeks ago, Cowgirls so many times were getting runners on and then weren't able to bring them around. They just kept getting something going and then would have a couple of quick outs, and we just kind of saw that just now. So excited to see if they can actually bring some runs around and to score and get an early lead here in the first inning.
Oklahoma State has driven in 70 runs with 2 outs this season, compared to 168 total. If you think about it, though, the most likely time, because it's later in the innings, is to do that with 2 outs. So that number likely should be a little bit higher. 1-1 count here to Aubrey Jones. And appeal down to third. Didn't go around. It's a 2 count. Jones hitting .333 with 2 outs this season. Tips that one into the mid for strike 2. Had Jones just a little bit out in front.
And Jones swings really hard up there. I love the way that she just gets everything into her swings, and she's putting her a nice at bat here with 2 outs, seeing some pitches, watching those rise balls up in the zone. I think that the Cowgirls have struggled a little bit holding off of that pitch, and that's something that they've been working on over the past few weeks and have seen some improvements in.
Full count, 2 outs. That is hit straight up in the air on the infield. Townsend, the third baseman, over to get it in a late adjustment, but she makes the catch. So the Cowgirls load the bases with nobody out, but Haley Schuler able to work out of it. We're scoring the all-time history between these 2 schools. Actually, the series tied at 8 games apiece all time. Cowgirls do have the slight advantage in pretty minimal games played here in Stillwater. Haven't played since the 2024 season. They split 4 games in total, although Oklahoma State won the regular season series that year.
I remember that series out in Provo, and so many home runs came from the BYU squad. I just think that like the whole Oklahoma State team was a little bit stunned by how much power the BYU hitters have, and they came back, and even though Oklahoma State won that series, came back and got them in the Big 12 tournament in that first round, which was huge for them. And they just have such a competitive and scrappy team.
Home runs are still certainly a part of this offense. Elovea Brittingham, certainly one of the capable hitters in that category. But even though BYU has kind of struggled to score runs, they're 224th at 4 runs per game, they're top in home runs at 25. That's just 1 behind Oklahoma State as a team. Brittingham chases that one. Blocked by Schneidmiller, and she gets it down to first, 1 away. That's 3 consecutive strikeouts for Ruby Malin.
And Malin making quick work of Brittingham there. Just fired 3 strikes right away. That pitch not even close to the zone, and I think Brittingham just fooled, and you know, that pitch does look like it's coming in at the knees and just continues to tumble down. And that's what Malin is so good at. When she gets ahead in the count, she's able to expand the strike zone and get some easy swings and misses.
Swing and a miss for strike 1 to Rita Tavita. Salt Lake City native, just a freshman. And OPS near 1,000 is pretty good for your freshman campaign. It's pretty good for your senior campaign, for that matter. There's a swing and a miss for strike 2.
Especially, too, when we were chatting with Coach Eakin, he mentioned that Tavita was recruited as a situational pitcher, and hitting wasn't even in the question when they were recruiting her, and she just came on campus, and they experimented her, got her in the lineup, and she's been having such great at-bats that it's impossible to keep her out of the lineup.
Yeah, the operative word that he used that stood out to me was that she earned her way into the lineup. It's easy to assume because they've dealt with some injuries this year that she kind of fell into that, but you know, he said she specifically earned her way in there. Swings and misses at this one, though, and Ruby Malin is on a heater. She's retired all 5 she's faced, and she struck out the last 4.
And Malin just coming inside with this drop ball. That looks good coming in, and there's no way that Tavita can catch up to that pitch. It just falls off the table and almost curls back behind her back leg. And I'm a little scared for this BYU offense when Malin gets going, especially early in the game and is finding the corners. She's really hard to hit as the game goes on.
Ball 1 misses low to Haley Morrow. Morrow, a senior. She's provided some good power in the middle of this lineup. That's a strike on the outside corner.
You like to see the BYU offense just zone in a little bit more and make Ruby Malin throw pitches like that one that are actually coming into the strike zone. I think a few times they've expanded outside the zone and gotten down early, which allows Ruby to just continue to expand the zone, which, like Coach said, their team is going to be aggressive. They're going to play to their strengths. But maybe letting Ruby find the zone a little bit more in this game and seeing some more pitches will be beneficial.
Strike 2 called, and another 2-strike count against a BYU hitter. Malin has been even more efficient this inning than she was in the first. Now looking to close it out. Defense playing straight up behind her. Swung on and missed for strike 3. Ruby Malin strikes out the side in the second and has K'd 5 of the 6 batters that she's faced. Good morning, good afternoon, and good night. We head to the bottom of the second in Stillwater. Coach Gajewski's team looking to spark some offense. Loaded the bases, couldn't score in the first. And unfortunately, that was a little bit of a trend over the weekend as well. He talked about them getting runners on base on their road trip. Ended up dropping 2 of the 3 in the series to Arizona State because they just couldn't get them across the plate. Nice turnaround to end the series with a win and then win at Grand Canyon as well.
Yeah, and that was a tough road trip. Arizona State, such a good team in the Big 12, and then Grand Canyon, who was undefeated coming into that game. That's a huge win for Oklahoma State to knock them off. And then also just being a 4-day long road trip, actually 5, I think. And then flight got delayed coming back into Oklahoma yesterday. They had a 2-hour time change. All tough things that they had to navigate and come out here today and try to get another, tough Big 12 series win.
I'm starting to think Carly Godwin has something against us. That first foul ball was coming right back at us, caught the net. She hit the computer in here a couple of weeks ago. By the way, I did get that ball signed by her. And there's a photo of us since she split the computer screen in half. But now ahead in the count 2-1.
We're lucky today that it's a little bit warmer outside, so we don't have that window open.
Yes, we've got the protective shield up. I assume these windows are softball proof. Not exactly sure what happened down in the field there. Maybe a swap around. No, Acosta is in the right spot, trading some wristbands apparently. 3-1 count here as Godwin is ahead. Again, Oklahoma State loaded the bases with nobody out in the bottom of the first. Then a 1-2-3 double play and a pop out into the threat. Godwin takes the walk.
Like you said, just loading the bases with no outs and not getting any runs out of that is honestly kind of deflating as an offense. You're just like, dang, how do we not score on that? Especially, you know, in the first game, it'd be great to jump on them and get that momentum going, but then Ruby Malin coming back out with 3 straight strikeouts and getting her offense back up to bat.
Bunt laid down at the third base side. The throw to first is in time, but Audrey Schneidmiller lays down the sac bunt to move the runner into scoring position. That's something that Oklahoma State has been fairly consistent in. 14 now on the season. They're top 80 in the country.
Oklahoma State takes a lot of pride in getting the bunt down. It's something they practice every single day. And Coach G always says, if you can bunt, you're going to find your way into the lineup, because like you said, it's just so important to be able to move runners and put them in scoring position. And Claire Tim dropping that bunt in the first inning, she actually got on base with a single. And so it's very important to be able to get that down.
Here's Jaden Jones taking strike 1. Struggled a little bit at the plate here in her first season, or her sophomore season, that is. This would be a good time to get it going for Oklahoma State with a runner in scoring position. That is hit up the right field line and down for a fair ball. Godwin rounding third. She'll come home. Throw to second is not quite in time. It scoots away, and now here comes Jones heading towards third. She'll get there standing. I think Jones thought the left fielder was coming over already. Kind of delayed moving to third.
Good job there by Jaden Jones, taking this inside pitch, opening up on it. Definitely didn't connect with that completely solid, but enough to get it out in the outfield, and Carly Godwin read that line drive through the infield, able to score. And I think too, just the lack of backup there from the left fielder Owens behind third base allowed Jaden Jones to go from second to third on the errant throw coming in. And so it's an important lesson for the kids out there. Never forget your backup, because you can save extra bases like that.
I'm going to guess they'll score that a double and then an error. But that's exactly the kind of offensive execution you're looking for. Leadoff player gets on, you bunt her to second base, base hit drives her in to score a run. If Oklahoma State can find a way to do that a little more consistently, they're going to have a chance to make a run throughout the rest of this Big 12 season.
Exactly. They just need to pass the bat and do what they need to do to get runs actually across the plate. I like that Jaden Jones took that inside pitch as an opportunity to pull something and at least move Carly Godwin over. But getting that into the outfield allowed for the easy run.
J.L. Austin is top 35 in the country in walks per game, and she leads the team by a significant margin. She's ahead in the count 3-0 here. And that'll be another walk. Austin's team leading 24th walk of the season. And now you're in a really good spot because Tia Warsop handles the bat really well, can put the ball in play. And to this point in her college career, she's been impossible to double off. So anything in play is likely to put Oklahoma State on top 2-0 here. Runners on the corners with 1 out. Jaden Jones at third, Austin now at first. Austin taking off for second. The throw to second is too high. Well, they got her in a rundown and on purpose to let the run come in to score. And she is retired on the rundown, but Jones comes in to score. It's 2-0 Oklahoma State. She looked like she was going to be safe at second.
I was just going to say, a little bit of a funky play there. Austin taking off on the pitch, and the catcher there throwing it down. I think Austin would have been safe if she just slid straight into the bag, but maybe this is a pre-designed play to avoid that immediate tag and allow Jaden Jones to come in. But either way, I think a good situation for Oklahoma State, able to get that run in, which is the most important.
Warsop laid down a bunt, but it trickled foul. It evens the count at 1-1. Overall, it executes the main goal, which was to get that runner in from third, and Oklahoma State has scored 2 here in the second. Warsop trying to spark something now late in the inning and ahead in the count 2-1.
And I loved how Jaden Jones at third base there just took off. As soon as she saw that ball go over the pitcher's head, just took off and ran hard. And I don't even think if they got that ball back to home, it would have been an out either.
Warsop on a line to left field, and short-hopped Owens at left, but she was able to corral it. But it's the second hit of the game already for Tia Warsop here in just the second inning.
A nice job there by Tia Warsop coming up to that leadoff spot, doing her job up there. Couple singles, and she's having a great day so far.
And 2 outs and Rosie Davis at the plate. This has steal opportunity written all over it for Tia Warsop, trying to get into scoring position.
Yeah, I think it's not if she's going to steal, it's when almost in this at bat. You know she's going to go and try to get into scoring position, try to get another RBI from Rosie Davis here, and with so much speed and 2 outs, you got to do it.
And Davis, in a season where Oklahoma State at times has struggled to hit with 2 outs, runner on the move, the throw to second is not in time. Warsop into scoring position. Davis is not one of the players that has struggled with that. She's hitting .467 with 2 outs this season. And now a runner in scoring position for her, and she's ahead in the count 1-0. That ties ties Warsop for the team high in stolen bases. Davis also hitting better with runners in scoring position than her overall season average this year by 13 points. Off speed, off the mark, 2-0. Warsop's 8th steal of the season, her 39th in a Cowgirl uniform. That's up high. Something in there was called a strike. The scoreboard ended up at 1-1, so now it's 2-1. Again, bullpen action. Gianna Mares warming for BYU. That one hit the top of the zone. It's an even count, 2-2. Davis swings through strike 3. And Schuler able to work out of the jam, but Oklahoma State able to strike for a couple in the second. Godwin got the leadoff walk. The sacrifice the second came around to score. Jaden Jones, who drove her in, scores herself. And it's 2-0 Cowgirls through 2. First Big 12 win of the season today. They actually had the bye week in Big 12 play last weekend, so they opened against Arizona, dropped all 3 of those, but then played outside of conference play last weekend and had a solid week, went 3-1. In fact, when you remove that Arizona series, BYU's won 5 of its last 8.
Exactly. Talking to Coach Eakin, he said that they do have some real momentum building right now, and they're starting to figure it out a little bit. I know they've struggled this season with some injuries, and some of their key players are, on the bench with some injuries, but they're finding their identity and learning how to play with the roster that they have and not the one that they originally planned for.
Bree Townsend, the sophomore, looking to become the first Cougar to reach base today. Ruby Malin has been lights out through 2 frames, and she gets the strike to even the count. Got the weak ground out to first to open the contest. Since then, 5 straight strikeouts, all of them swinging. So sticking with Coach Eakin's philosophy of if you're going to go down swinging. And it's in there for strike 2.
I thought it was interesting, too, with our conversation with Coach Eakin. We see a lot of teams now sort of trying to form their offensive plan to a pitcher's strengths and what they think they're going to see. But he likes to focus on what BYU offense does well and kind of let the chips fall where they may. And so we see them sticking to their philosophy of being aggressive, and so far it hasn't paid off. And I think if they just narrow and be a little more aggressive on pitches in the zone rather than pitches like that one that are coming way on the inner half of the plate, they're going to find a little bit more success. But Malin is doing what she does best and throwing with really good accuracy to those bottom 2 quadrants of the zone and just continuing to get swings and misses on those pitches.
6 consecutive strikeouts. If you look in the last time it happened, part of the game notes for Oklahoma State, Ruby Malin is all over the pitching side of that. But she's approaching some rarefied air here. There's a ground ball back to Malin, bobbled it, but able to stick with it and pick it up. Those 6 consecutive strikeouts, that streak comes to an end, but she is the first Cowgirl to strike out 5 in a row or more since Lexi Kilfoyle against Kentucky back in May of 2024.
She's rolling so far in this game, and that last ball, I think, had a lot of spin on it, but she stuck with it, able to get the out and continue to keep the Cougars off the bases.
Now it's Kaya Fabella trying to prevent BYU from going down in order for the first 3 innings. It's outside for ball 1. Fabella, just a freshman out of Fort Worth, heading up to the mountains to play her college softball. Check swing, went around according to our first base umpire, Scott Wagner.
And the Cougars really liking that inside drop ball on that bottom right-hand quadrant of the plate. They just keep giving Ruby Malin that strike, even though it's out of the zone.
Laid off of that one.
I think, too, Malin has been dominating so far, using primarily her drop ball. She hasn't really been mixing in a ton of off speed. I've only seen a couple of rise balls, I think, to that top 3 hitters in the lineup, but just been dominating with 1 pitch right now.
This is as far behind an account as Malin has been today. Now 3-1. Top of the order on deck here with 2 outs and nobody on in the top of the 3rd. Malin misses up top. It's the first runner for BYU.
Yeah, Fabella doing a nice job there, not giving Malin anything too far out of the zone. She swung at 1 ball on the inner half and then was pretty disciplined ever since then, and is able to get BYU a base runner in this game, which is a good start.
Danica Acosta, the 2nd highest average on the team. Grounded out to first base her first time up. She takes ball 1. Slown away for ball 2, and Malin, who had really been filling the strike zone until a batter ago, has gotten just a little bit off the mark.
I like Schneidmiller, too, the catcher, taking the initiative to call a quick timeout, little chat with Malin, refocus a little bit, and probably just give her some confidence.
Yeah, we'll have a coach visit as well. You know, we mentioned a little bit, Rachel, that BYU playing a little bit depleted, and it's some big names too. Kate Daly is out for the year. They expected her to be a major impact player for this team. Fabella, who has played a couple of different positions, has been beat up a little bit as well. Caught with the flu at one point. Wait, excuse me, that was Brittingham that came from center field to catch. Picked up the flu, so that was a tough week for her. But they've been moving a lot of pieces around with only 15 available players, and I'm sure for Coach Eakin that is both stressful, but also if you're learning, things about your team and some of these younger players, it may pay dividends in the long run.
Yeah, and shout out to the players that aren't injured, being flexible and adaptable and knowing that they're going to have to go around and fill some places, especially catcher. That's a big one, and I know Brittingham moving into that position is probably difficult for her, but being able to adapt and adjust and just kind of be where you need to be to help the team win.
3-1 is up high. Back-to-back walks have put a runner in scoring position here for BYU.
Are seeing a little bit of an adjustment from the Cougars, just making Malin bring it in the zone a little bit more. I've said that the first couple innings they were giving her a little bit too much outside of the zone, and now just being a bit more patient has paid off, and now they have two base runners, a good opportunity to get on the board.
As dominant as Ruby Malin has been in this game, Lily Owens with one swing could put BYU on top, tied for second on the team in home runs this season. That's just low, and it's a 2-0 count. Beautiful evening for softball. The decks are full here at Cowgirl Stadium. For a Big 12 Series opener on a Thursday night. That's in there for a strike. They released basically a how-to video to be one of the fans out there at the decks for the first series of the year. Highly entertaining. 2-1 is a called strike.
It's pretty cool too to see the development of the decks over the years. I remember when I got here, I think it was just one level, maybe two, and then next year they added another level, and now they're all connecting, and they have like a deck system out there.
There's a sky bridge out there. That's hit on the ground to short, and Owens able to beat it out at first base. The bases are loaded on the infield single. That's the first hit for BYU.
And Lily Owens just places his ball perfectly, almost in that 5-6 hole. I think the shortstop Jones was playing up the middle a little bit. Good effort there on that play, but the speed of Owens just able to dig that one out.
Davis tried to come across and get to it and just couldn't quite make it there. Ball one is inside to Haley Schuler. Schuler's got a chance to basically have single-handedly turned this game around. Remember, she started the double play with the bases loaded and nobody out for Oklahoma State in the bottom of the first. Pitched out of the jam. Ball two is going in. Ground ball back up the middle. Fielded cleanly at second, and Jaden Jones will tag the bag before her sister Aubrey can beat her. That retires the side, kills the BYU threat at the top. Taking a look at the resume of Coach Kenny Gajewski in his 11th year now at Oklahoma State. He's made the Women's College World Series half the time, won the school's first Big 12 title, an event you're familiar with, Rachel. And he's looking to guide them through another Big 12 season here. Gotten off to a little more of a rough start than I think he would prefer, but from our conversation pregame, I think he's excited about where things are going and the way his team is working.
I think so too, and they had a really good pre-conference season. They won a ton of games against top 10 opponents, and then coming into the Big 12, got punched a little bit by UCF and then Arizona State back-to-back. Didn't expect to drop both of those series, but like you said, a lot of those games were one-run games. It just came down to one swing or one tiny little piece of the game that ultimately got them the loss, but they're right there and they're competing really well in the Big 12.
This is a game that Oklahoma State is leading by 2 runs, but it feels like it could pretty easily be a 4 or 5 run advantage for Kenny Gajewski's squad. Claire Tim behind in the count 0-2. They threatened in both innings, scored 2 in the second. That one only made it about 2/3 of the way to the plate. Almost sounded like Schuler just tried to muscle up on that one a little bit too much.
Blow it by Claire Tim, maybe.
Tim hitting .378 on the year. She's been in even better leading off innings. Might have caught the catcher just above the knee. Fabella just now standing up and limping a little bit in the process.
It looks like this pitch from Schuler just catcher Fabella just not seeing it maybe and misjudging it a little bit. Probably just got her off the kneecap. Definitely not where you want to get hit. But looks like she's going to be able to tough this one out.
Well, remember, she missed a bunch of times at the beginning of the season, about 5 weeks. So she's still in about week 3 form of said season. Might have gotten crossed up there, who knows. Claire Tim starting her 110th game in a Cowgirl uniform tonight. She spoils a 2-2 pitch to stay alive in the count.
Claire Tim has been one of the most consistent hitters, I would say, for the Cowgirls over the course of the season. She's, stayed up in the high average and has done.
It's a looper to right, and the catch is made by Tavita, but she and Acosta were in very close range of each other at the end of that play.
I know, I had to pause and watch that one play out because I didn't know if it was going to drop in there. Nice play there though by second baseman going back and right fielder catch that one? Okay, sure, nice. Tavita coming in, making that catch. And
I really thought we were about to see a collision.
I did too, and love how she came in aggressively and made that catch, especially with, I know the sun gets really tough over there in right field at this time, so.
Looks like Tim got that last one off the end of the bat a little bit. Here's Amanda Hassler.
Yeah, you love it too as an infielder, knowing that your outfield is aggressively coming in and trying to make those catches, because it's really hard on a second baseman to go back and try to make that play. So love Tavita's aggressiveness on that and able to get that out.
It's in the dirt for a ball. One out, nobody on. That one just stayed in the zone to Hassler.
I think that was a little bit of an off speed from Schuler, mixing that in on the inner half. Good take there by Hassler to not bite at that and lead to an easy ground out.
Left that one low and away. The at-bats really for both teams seem to have slowed down a little bit after the first frame. Even when Oklahoma State was getting on base, they were doing it pretty quickly. Hassler lifts that one deep to right field. Tavita going back, she's looking up, and it's gone. Hassler homers for the 3rd time in the last 2 games, and she extends the Cowgirl lead to 3.
Amanda Hassler is absolutely heating up for the Cowgirls. She didn't even get all of this pitch, but she's so strong and swings so hard that it was enough to get over that right field wall. And she just is staying hot for the Cowgirls. Like you said, 3 home runs in the past 2 games. And when she gets going, she gets on a roll and really seems like she's seeing a beach ball up there at the plate.
Her 8th home run of the season, a team high. She's now crossed the half-century mark in her career as a whole, including her time at NC State. Now ball 1 is low to Aubrey Jones, who popped out to 3rd to end the 1st. Cowgirls trying to create a little bit of breathing room. And I would imagine Ruby Malin appreciative of the run support. It's been a little hit and miss in her favor at times this year, and so she has a little more wiggle room than she's maybe been used to.
Definitely. Anytime they can give Ruby Malin just a few runs to work with, usually that turns out pretty well for the Cowgirls, but BYU offense got something going last inning. They were so close to putting a couple runs up on the board, so definitely excited to see how they come back in the fourth.
I would imagine Kenny Gajewski would love to create a little additional separation here and maybe give Malin a little bit of a break, knowing that you got 2 more games coming up this weekend. Strike 2 is called to Jones.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with that more, though. Ruby Malin with so many pitches on her arm throughout the course of the season and getting into the conference season as well. Definitely want to consider saving her as much as you can.
Bit of a jam shot liner caught by the shortstop Morrow, 2 away here in the third. There is action in the Cowgirl bullpen. It's Riley Crandall working out there. Carly Godwin, the North Carolina native. Fouled that one off her own leg. Not only is that 3 homers in the last couple of games for Hassler, it's 3 in her last 5 at bats. I think she'd take that ratio anytime. Godwin takes the 0-1, evens the count. Every Cowgirl in this inning that's come to the plate has seen at least 5 pitches, making Haley Schuler work. Schuler hasn't been perfect, but she's been able to keep BYU within reach. Gotten out of a couple of jams. That was a rocket, skipped right back at her, and Schuler really fielding the position well in the circle. But Oklahoma State gets another run on the solo homer from Amanda Hassler. Cowgirls lead at 3-0, out hitting BYU 6-1 through the first 3 frames. Cougars back to the bats when we return to Stillwater. Gordon Eakin hoping his team has a comeback in it today. Trailing 3-0 as we head to the top of the 4th. He's been around. He's been doing this quite a long time. 24th season as the head coach. He was there for a couple of years as an assistant beforehand as well, and has ushered them into this Big 12 era. And you know, said he really likes the atmosphere. If you're around that place that long, they must like you, and you must like being there.
Exactly. I mean, you got to be doing something right to you know, be the head coach at BYU for 24 years. And I love Coach Eakin, how much pride he has in BYU and how, you know, just the standards that they have around family and discipline there create so much character, and he sees that translating onto the field so often and throughout the years. You know, he's just loved working with the girls, and say that they make him a better coach every day.
Ball 1 low out of the hand of Ruby Malin. She has struck out 6 over 3 innings of work and has allowed only 1 hit. Brittingham offering at that one and swinging through.
Ulovea Brittingham swings with so much power and speed. She's so quick through the zone. We've seen a few swings and misses, but if she connects on that pitch, it's going a long way.
Dribbles the 1-1 pitch foul. Brittingham, a 2-time All-Stater in California. The NCAA National Hitter of the Year back in 2024, which would have been her senior high school season. Swings and misses at this one, though. Ruby Malin has struck out 7.
Ruby Malin has Brittingham's number today, just going back to that inside drop ball, the same pitch that she struck out on that first at bat. And you love the aggressiveness, but you like to see the Cougars taking those pitches like they did in the top of the 3rd and seeing something a little more closer to the zone.
That one's low to Tavita to start this at bat. 0 for 1. Now, all 7 strikeouts for Malin, Rachel, have been on swings and misses. Obviously, that means something in that inner third drop ball looks like it's going to be a strike. So what, as a former hitter, what are they seeing in those moments that Malin's getting them off kilter on?
I think it's just Malin that tunnels her pitches so well, meaning any pitch that she throws looks like it's coming down the middle of the plate, and then it just falls off the table. I know Coach G mentioned today that she's got over 13 inches of drop and movement on her pitches, and so she does a great job of just making it seem like it's coming in at the knees, and then that pitch just keeps tumbling down. She gets so much spin on that drop ball.
And when you say tunneling pitches, and we've seen with technology, you can do the video overlays and the ball comes out in the same direction. Essentially, she can throw multiple pitches that start in the same spot and break in different directions entirely.
Yeah, I think
that
like
was
that.
Just right down the middle.
And that pitch there, a drop ball, you know, very similar look to her rise ball oftentimes. Like that pitch is coming a little bit higher in the zone, but that is a drop ball in the outer half. Still has that movement down, and I think just continues to fool the BYU offense a little bit. Because I think the most important thing about these pitches is that she throws them so accurately. Like she can throw to any corner of the zone and expand the zone and get her pitches all over the plate, get batters to swing and miss so frequently.
The 4, 5, and 6 spots are so far combined 0 for 5 with 5 strikeouts. Morrow trying to avoid making it 0 for 6 with 6 Ks. That is low for a ball. And that last one from Tavita, the first strikeout looking against Malin today. Eventually you're going to have one. If you strike out 8 at some point in there, somebody's going to probably not pull the trigger. It's low for a ball, 2-1.
It's impressive for all those strikeouts coming in the 4, 5, 6 spots in the lineup. You know, these are your power hitters, your big bats. And Ruby Malin is not scared to just come at them and throw her stuff, make them hit the ball.
Davis vacuums up the grounder. Over to Godwin. And it's a 1-2-3 frame for Ruby Malin in the Oklahoma State defense. Malin striking out 2 per inning. Cowgirls lead it by 3. The friendly confines at Cowgirl Stadium today as Oklahoma State leads 3-0. It's been a tough schedule as usual for this Oklahoma State squad. Oh, there's a younger fan there. Shades ready to go on a sunny and warm day. That's a kind of a crazy number. 16 of the first 28 against ranked opponents. Top 25 toughest schedule in the country, and this is a team that, as Coach Gajewski was talking to us about earlier, Rachel, even the returners hadn't played just a ton of softball outside of maybe Carly Godwin and Ruby Malin, and so it's a team that needed to learn a lot of things. They've challenged themselves, and now is the time that we'll see if those pieces can start to fall into place for Kenny Gajewski's squad.
That's exactly right. I love the way that Coach G is just not afraid to play anybody, and he's always said that. And I think that's why so many players love coming and playing at Oklahoma State, is because they'll show up and play anybody on any given day.
Hit hard down the line, but foul by maybe 2 feet off the bat of Audrey Schneidmiller, and it's an 0-2 count.
And Oklahoma State, too, played very well through that first half of the season. They got some big wins over Georgia, Texas A&M, UCLA. Got a big win over Nebraska, and then still to come, huge midweek games against Oklahoma and Texas. They'll go and play anybody, and it doesn't matter how good they are or what their RPI is, or, you know, if they might, I don't even know, have to travel. Like, they're gonna go play and compete, and I think it just helps the team be ready for the Big 12 season.
Schneidmiller hitting .429 as the leadoff hitter this season. Takes ball 2, and you know, that is a testament to what we were talking about earlier. Almost everybody that's come up in this game, they're hitting like in the 400s as the leadoff, but it's been the 2-out hitting that's been a little bit more of a struggle. The Cowgirls generally haven't had a tough time getting players on. It's been bringing them around. Even then, they're still top 50 in the country in scoring. It's maybe not to the efficiency they'd like it to be, but at 6.8 runs per game, that's 43rd in the nation.
can't be mad about that, especially considering the competition. You know, I think it's easy to look at the Cowgirls and say, oh, they're not always getting the run support, but I think the at-bats have gotten so much better over the course of the Big 12 season, and I think they're finding their way a little bit, and those 2 wins out in Arizona, I think, are a big momentum push for them heading into the rest of the tough Big 12 season.
Well, the challenge when things aren't quite going your way is can you stay locked in both individually and as a team? And if you can, you come out on the other side with a different maybe level of mental toughness in a different team atmosphere than you went into the tough stretch with. That ball is hit high in the air to left field. Owens is back for it. She is at the warning track. She leaps, and she can't get there. It's a home run, and the Cowgirls lead by 4.
Cowgirls are getting going a little bit with the bats. Second inning in a row with the home run for the Cowgirls, and Schneidmiller hit that ball a mile in the air. I thought the left fielder Owens had a chance at that one, but she just goes up and gets this pitch on the top half of the zone, opens her hips quick to it, and hits with a lot of power. I couldn't tell at first if she had caught that, but just barely getting over that left field wall.
The water cannons gave it away for me. That was helpful. Well, the impressive thing about that at bat to me from Schneidmiller, got to a 2-strike count, fouled off a couple of 2 stretches. I mean, that's a 7-pitch at bat that she finally was able to win the battle. That's a disciplined at bat.
And just competitive. You know, she took some good pitches, I think swung hard at some good pitches on the corners, wasn't willing to leave it up to the umpire, and then ultimately was aggressive on a pitch out of the zone and was able to take that one out of the yard.
Jaden Jones had an RBI double, came around to score back in the 2nd inning. Some heads-up base running as well. That's away for a ball. Kenny Gajewski has seen his offense score in multiple ways today. Probably encouraging after getting the bases loaded with nobody out and not scoring in the first. You stay locked in now, runs in 3 consecutive innings. There's a called strike 3 to retire Jones.
I love this off-speed pitch from Schuler. Stuns Jones there. Didn't expect her to bring that in off-speed, and it's the response from Schuler. You know, giving up that leadoff home run, obviously not ideal, but her being able to come back right away, get the backwards K, it's huge for her.
Remember Schuler, just a sophomore, played at Duke last year, didn't pitch a ton though. And showing some good mental toughness in the way that she's bounced back in some of these innings, pitched out of some tough spots.
I know that's one thing too that Coach Egan talked to us about. They didn't really expect her to come in and be a starting pitcher and take a lot of these innings, but she's handled the pressure and the spotlight super well. I know they've had some injuries. I know, is it Kaysen Korth and then Daly, another pitcher that they expected to take a lot of those innings. But Schuler coming in and doing well, handling that role.
Jalen Lambert out as well, another impact player. 0-2. Austin patiently takes outside after her walk in the second, a team leading 24 walks for the freshman out of Owasso, Oklahoma. Snagged by the pitcher Schuler yet again. She has really fielded her position well.
Schuler super athletic in the circle. That play over her head, she had to jump up and grab that one, but good job there. And like you said, she has gotten some hot shots back at her, had to run out of the circle, made that double play in the first inning to keep the Cowgirls off the board. Love the way that she's playing defense.
Quick visit to the circle here. It's back to the top of the order, and Tia Warsop for Oklahoma State. 2 outs, nobody on, and the Cowgirls leading 4-0 here in the 4th. And as much as you'd love a big inning offensively for Oklahoma State, it might be more of a confidence builder to score in several innings and consistently score over the course of the game, because that's something that has been a little bit of a struggle at times this season.
Definitely. It's always, like you said, a confidence builder to just come out, get runners on every inning, and keep putting pressure on.
Warsaw trying to get something started with 2 outs. Schuler trying to put the cat back on the faucet. Two hits already today for Tia. Off the mark for ball 2. Golden hour in Stillwater on a Thursday evening. Warsaw takes the strike that time down the middle. Hit hard on the ground. That's into the right center field gap for a base hit. Warsaw will hold up as Tavita did a nice job getting to it quickly. Otherwise, that could have been extra bases. But a 3rd hit already for Tia Warsaw after moving into the leadoff role this evening.
She's definitely showing why she got moved up to that leadoff spot. 3rd single. I think she's just keeping it simple. I love that she's shown bunt a few times. It really shows that she's a triple threat and can kind of just slap the ball through the infield and doing exactly what the leadoff batter should do, and that's get on base.
She's already got a stolen base this evening. It was also in a 2-out situation. That's fouled off by Rosie Davis, who's 1 for 2 with a single. That ball is torched to deep left field off the bat of Rosie Davis. It's a no-doubter. A 2-run shot, and the Cowgirls have gone from up 3 to up 6 here in the 4th.
And that's Rosie Davis coming through again with a clutch swing, 2 outs, great opportunity to get a couple more runs on the board, and she just goes down and gets this inside drop ball. It's a really tough pitch to hit. Honestly, I would say that's a pitcher's pitch, and not a lot of hitters are going to be able to do that, go that far inside and get their barrel to that pitch, but that's just Rosie Davis. So much power and just consistently that clutch hitter for Oklahoma State.
She knew it off the bat. She's usually pretty quick out of the box, and she had a comfortable jog that time around. That ball ended up rolling out onto McElroy. A 2-run shot for Rosie Davis. Some 2-out runs for Oklahoma State in this contest. The Cowgirls leading 6-0 as we head to the pitching change here for BYU in the 4th. Gianna Mares will enter the circle, the junior with a 5-5 record on the season. Coach Eakin turning to arguably his best pitcher, down 6 here in the bottom of the 4th inning. And we'll see if she's able to try to put the lid on things and keep BYU somewhere within striking distance here.
Mara's going to come in and bring it from the left side, so switch up the look a little bit for the Oklahoma State offense, who have been heating up a little bit these past couple innings with the 3 home runs. But like you said, Mares was supposed to start this game actually tonight. She is, I would say, that ace of the staff, carries most of the innings, and coach says she has the best pure stuff on the pitching staff. She throws a really good rise ball, drop ball, mixes in changeup as well. And when she's on, BYU can beat any team in the country.
Entering the game, she had nearly 20 more innings pitched than anybody else on the roster. Now, we say that as if it's a large number, and it is. Ruby Malin had more than 50 more innings than anybody else on the Cowgirl roster, so it's certainly not unprecedented even in this matchup. Cowgirls leading by 6 after the 2-run home run from Rosie Davis. And now Claire Tim ahead 3-0. On deck is Amanda Hassler, who already has a home run today and 3 in her last 5 at-bats. Dangerous part of the lineup here that Gianna Mares is trying to deal with. And is loaded in for ball 4, and Tim heads down to first.
I was thinking they were trying to bring in Mares for the lefty-lefty matchup and try to get a quick out from Claire Tim. But, you know, coming into a game, it's tough to find the zone right away. And I think Mares trying to settle in a little bit still. And 4 straight balls, obviously not the way she wanted to start her outing. But now the Cowgirls with Hassler up and how hot she's been, they're getting into that run rule territory a little bit. Still going to take a clutch hit with 2 outs, but getting closer.
You mentioned the lefty-lefty matchup, and certainly anyone who's followed baseball knows that that is more difficult than right on left or left on right. Does that carry to softball as well as someone who's played at this level?
Yes, I would say so. As a lefty myself, I would definitely say so. I just feel like lefties have so much spin to, you know, the lefty curveball to the outer half of the plate. It's such a tough pitch to hit for a lefty. And, you know, I would always try to avoid that if I could, but
if at all possible. Coach, I would prefer to avoid this matchup.
I prefer to not. No, I'm just kidding. But, you know, it is tough.
Hassler ahead in the count 1-0. That was elevated for ball 2. Seeing that ball up a little bit, even from up here, my eyebrows raised a little bit because of the way Hassler's been swinging the bat. 34 runs batted in this season. That is far and away the team high. Although Rosie Davis chipped into that a little bit with her 2-run home run a moment ago. That one floats into the top of the zone for strike 2. I feel like they threw Hassler a similar pitch to get to strike 2 in her last at bat. That's outside.
That off speed, just mix up the timing. If they can get that pitch for a strike, it's tough to be on time for both the hard stuff and the off speed.
2 outs and a full count. The runner, Graf, will be moving at first. That is smoked. Kenny Gajewski sashaying out of the way up the third base line. I think he was getting some applause from somewhere. Man's got a family. He's got to protect himself over there. Same situation. Runner will be moving again.
So I would definitely do anything to get out of the way of a Amanda Hassler foul ball. Maybe not that one, but the one before.
That one was slightly less intimidating. Went with what looked like the change up there, and she was able to just keep the hands back long enough to fight it off. Popped up. Shortstop Morrow over to get it. And she makes the catch for out number 3. But a big inning for Oklahoma State. Schneidmiller led it off with a home run. Rosie Davis, the exclamation point with a 2-run blast. Cowgirls by 6. Stop me if you've heard this before. Ruby Malin, good at pitching. Bunch of strikeouts tonight, most of them swinging, Rachel.
Yeah, I mean, she's an All-American for a reason. She's just, that drop ball has so much spin on it. She moves it in and out. Has gotten a ton of swings and misses on pitches outside of the zone. Has been very efficient tonight. Already up to 8 strikeouts and still a few more innings left to play.
Yeah, and if she's able to put a 0 on the board here in the top of the 5th, I think there's a good chance this may be her last inning in the circle this evening.
I agree, especially with how consistent the Cowgirls have been pouring it on BYU today. They've gotten runners on every inning, have almost scored in every inning, had a really good opportunity to score in that first inning. And, you know, I know they would love to save Ruby's arm a little bit and give her a little bit of extra rest, especially after pitching 21 innings over the past week.
79 pitches for Haley Schuler, the starter for BYU. Mara's needed 12 to retire one of the 2 batters she faced. Ruby Malin, meanwhile, 65 through 4 innings of work. She gets a foul tip for strike 1 to Bree Townsend. If you strike out 8 batters in 4 innings, that is going to require some pitches. Cowgirls out hitting BYU 9-1. That 3rd inning got a little dicey for Malin. Other than that, she's really been quite efficient. 12 pitches to strike out the side in the 2nd is impressive. Grounder left side. Davis cleanly over to first. You know, we talk a lot about, and rightfully so, Rosie Davis offensively, Rachel. She made the transition from 2nd to 3rd. She's made a total of 18 errors in 144 games now. I mean, her defense maybe gets overlooked because she's so consistent, you don't end up having to address it much.
Exactly. Rosie Davis has always been a lights-out defender. That's why I was a little surprised to see her moving from 2nd over to 3rd base because she was so good over at 2nd base. But I know she was one of the only players on the Cowgirls roster that had some experience over at 3rd base in travel ball days. And, you know, she's super athletic and versatile, and able to make the transition from 2nd base over to 3rd is a hard thing to do. But like you said, she's done so well, has been solid, which is huge for a pitcher like Ruby Malin, which her drop ball is going to lead to a ton of ground balls to that left half of the field.
Cowgirls are making a defensive change here.
Putting a little bit of a shift on.
A little bit of a shift. There's 5 infielders, Rachel. The right fielder has gone to left field, and there are just people everywhere on the infield here for Oklahoma State. So still Davis at 3rd. That's Macy Graff, who was in as a pinch runner before, now in on defense. And Rosie Davis from the sidearm gets the out. What was that we were saying about Rosie Davis as a defender, Rachel?
I guess she's pretty good. Rosie Davis here, just another good play from the 3rd baseman. You got to be quick with the slapper, like bend it up, and she just charges in, makes that play on the run. It's a tough play, but nice job there by the 3rd baseman. And I see that Oklahoma State's sticking with the shift here.
Yeah, there's a pinch hitter coming in as well for BYU. This will be Miranda Mansfield. Ball 1 off the mark. Yeah, I think that might be a good example of why Kenny Gajewski moved Rosie Davis to 3rd base, because that's an awfully clean play. You got to be quick, certainly, but you got to do it cleanly as well. That's right down in front of home plate, and the Cowgirl defense stands tall against a couple of very quick batters to end the 5th. First, the ground out to 3rd, and Rosie Davis. That time, Schneidmiller jumping up from behind the plate. 6-0 Cowgirls heading to the home half of the 5th. We'll look back at how this game has played out as we head to the home half of the 5th inning. Oklahoma State, remember, loaded the bases with nobody out in the first inning, was unable to score with the help of some nifty defense from BYU, but since then, at least one run in each of the next 3 frames. Cowgirls have taken 3 out of the park and are trying to pile on as we head to the 5th.
They're definitely looking to put a couple more on here in the bottom of the 5th, continue that pressure that they've been putting on the BYU defense this game. And Oklahoma State has kept the Cougars off of the bases. They really only threatened in that 3rd inning, but other than that, haven't even really had any significant chance to score. And so it's kind of just been all Oklahoma State from an offensive perspective.
Aubrey Jones is the only Cowgirl who has not yet reached base today. Pop out to 3rd and a line out to shortstop. And she may have just changed that as she drives one deep to right field. It is caught on the run by Tavita. That was a long run and a heck of a catch on the warning track.
Oh, wow, what a play there from the freshman Tavita out in right field. This ball I thought was a gapper for sure, all the way at the back of the wall, but Tavita just drop stepped super well. Made a great run towards that ball. It's an awesome catch out there, especially to get the first out in this inning.
Aubrey Jones is plenty quick too, so that would have been easily 2, maybe 3. There's a soft liner hit at shortstop off the bat of Carly Godwin for out number 2. Well, Gianna Mares has come in and settled the game down. She's retired 3 of the 4 batters she's faced. Here's Audrey Schneidmiller. She's 1 for 1 with a sac bunt and a solo homer today. We were talking in the break about the defensive play she made to end that last frame, but where she's really rounded out her game this year is on the offensive end.
That's exactly right. Schneidmiller has always been such a talented catcher behind the plate, has such a strong arm, came out and made that play on the bunt. But it's really nice to see her as a senior this year, finding her way offensively. She's got some power numbers. That home run in the last inning has been really consistent at the plate. At times, the hottest hitter in the Cowgirls lineup. It's really amazing to see her development over the course of her career.
2-1 is lined into center field for a base hit. Schneidmiller, her previous high water mark for a batting average was .270 back in her freshman season, but only limited bats. She only had 37 at bats that year. This year, through 24 games, 25 tonight actually ties her second most games played in the season. She's hitting .333, and higher than that now because she's 2 for 2 on the night.
And she's a player, too, that's dealt with a lot of adversity over her time at Oklahoma State, has had some injuries and kind of been in and out of the lineup, has been used as sort of that number 2 catcher to take some innings off of, you know, the starter at the time. And she's just been impossible to keep out of the lineup offensively this year.
You saw Jake Hughes in as the pinch runner. Jones pops one up third base side. Townsend has enough space and makes the grab for out number 3. So Oklahoma State gets a base runner on another hit from Schneidmiller, but a 0 on the board in the 5th. We head to the visitors half of the 6th when we return. Tonight between Oklahoma State and BYU, the Cowgirls hitting nearly 500 as a team. BYU shy of 100, and it's reflected on the scoreboard with Oklahoma State leading 6-0.
Yeah, and just that one hit, too, was that infield single to Aubrey Jones, too. So BYU hasn't even touched the grass today. So just shows you that Oklahoma State's offense came out firing, and Ruby Malin has done a great job up until this point, keeping the Cougars off the bases.
And Ruby Malin will hand things off to Riley Crandall, who's trying to keep the good vibes going for the Cowgirl defense. First ball hit on the ground, scooped up by Aubrey Jones, and she gets it to first cleanly. 1 pitch, 1 out for Crandall.
I love the move, too, to bring Crandall into this game. And, you know, they're feeling pretty comfortable with that 6-run lead. Ruby Malin has done a great job. She's thrown a ton of innings this week, and I like to give her some extra rest and Crandall to come in here and close the door. She only has 5 more outs left to get, and you know, Coach G's confident that she can do it.
Malin threw 3 complete games in that road trip to Arizona, so an opportunity to get her out of this game a little bit early. And Crandall, if you're coming into this spot up 6 against an offense that's been struggling, your job is to fill the strike zone, and so far she's 3 for 3 hitting the zone.
Yeah, you know, they just want Crandall to go out there and maybe fire into the zone, try to get some outs rolled out to her defense, and just try to make quick work.
Off the end of the bat and off the shoulder of Jaden Jones. It was a sinking liner, and it short hopped her. She couldn't get it clean.
I think that's a tough ball too off the bat of Lily Owens, but what you like to see Jaden Jones do is either come up and get that short hop or take an extra step back and try to get the long hop. She kind of got stuck in between and didn't really move her feet on that ball, which allowed it to kind of eat her up a little bit. So, you know, you like to see her either go in, get the short hop, or fall back and give herself a little bit extra time on that long hop.
First error of the game against the Cowgirl defense. And ball 1 is off the mark to Haley Schuler. First time Crandall has missed the zone. That was a little low. Schneidmiller had popped up ready to throw down to second base. Doesn't feel like a steal situation, even though Lily Owens is capable.
I think when you're fighting for 6, you have to know you're really not that important over at first or second, because you have a lot of runs to make up. You never want to run yourself into an out when you're chasing by that many.
Off speed. Getting a bit of a reaction from the crowd there. Over the plate, deemed just a little low, perhaps.
I love that off speed there. Mix up the timing.
That's fouled back to the netting, and the count is full. Riley Crandall had just a 3.13 ERA over 2 years at Baylor and a record of 33-15. And then was kind of injury plagued over the course of last season, her first in an Oklahoma State uniform. Big 12 all-freshman team back in 2023. That's hit hard on the ground. Foul at the third base side.
Crandall, another one of those players that's dealt with some adversity. Like I said, last year, injured a lot of that year, and she pitched through that. Still ended up with a 7-4 record, dealing with some pain there on that injury. And coming back this year healthy, it's been good to see her back in the circle. She's been able to take a lot of innings off of Malin. And like I said earlier, I like that they're bringing her in here to give Malin some rest, especially with that 6-run lead. And they really just need her to throw strikes, and she got a couple of balls to the infield. I think that ball to second base is a play that the Oklahoma State defense makes most of the time. So she's got to keep fighting.
A little pressure on her now. The error and now a walk has put 2 on with only 1 out. And Brittingham, arguably BYU's most dangerous hitter, walking into the box. That's in there for a strike. Important to start ahead of Ilovea Brittingham.
Even though Ilovea, with the 2 strikeouts today, still super dangerous hitter. She leads the team in RBIs. This is a good chance for her to get some.
Off the mark on that swing. Crandall ahead 2-0. Excuse me, 0-2. Spun that one outside. What do you have if you're Riley Crandall to try to get a ground ball here or maybe a strikeout?
I'm going curveball on the outer half. Riley Crandall's got a great curveball. I think Ilavea's swung through early on a couple pitches, and I think if she can get her on the outside half, maybe a little rollover ground ball to the left half of the infield, it's a good shot at it, rolling a double play and getting out of this inning.
Oklahoma State has 9 double plays on the year. That puts them roughly in the top third of the country. There is a ground ball to shortstop. They'll go to first with it for the out. 2 away, 2 in scoring position now for BYU. Just not quite hit hard enough there, maybe to shortstop.
I think so. I think Jones just taking that out at first, playing it safe a little bit, which makes sense with the 6-run lead. And I think the base runner there, Schuler, moving pretty quickly over to second. Softly hit ground ball, probably the safe play. But it was almost like I drew it up, the double play on the rollover ground ball.
There's the reason we ask you these questions. There's a swing and a miss for strike 1 to Tavita. 0 for 2, couple of strikeouts. That ground ball from Brittingham is the first ball put in play today. Sorry, second ball put in play by the 4-5-6 hitters. Morrow had a ground out to the left side of the infield earlier as well. Tavita had the long running catch in right field to rob Jones of an extra base hit last inning for Oklahoma State. Now trying to make an impact on the other end and get BYU back in this game. Good speed on the bases for the Cougars, so a base hit to the outfield likely makes this a 4-run game. That's fouled back.
Runners on the bases here, second base in this situation, any ball off the bat, you're running hard, and if it goes to the outfield, I imagine Coach Eakin is going to send the runner and try to get a couple of runs on the board, especially with the speed of Schuler and Owens. Try to be aggressive and get some runs on the board.
It's among the better opportunities BYU has had. And Crandall puts it into it. Pulled the string, got the strikeout to put another 0 on the board defensively for Oklahoma State. An error and a walk, but Crandall gets it done. Cowgirls up 6. We spoke with Kenny Gajewski earlier today about what his offense needed to do to kind of get going. And he said, we have got to find a way to get some hits with runners on base and hits with 2 outs. And they have done both of those things this evening, as those numbers clearly show.
That's exactly right. Like, throughout the course of the Big 12 season so far, they've really struggled to get that clutch hit. I think that's why they've only gone 2 and 4 in the conference. A lot of those games super close, but tonight able to put 6 runs up on the board and jump on top of BYU. Looks like the offense is starting to really get going. They're putting together some good at-bats.
And my former broadcast partner, Cheyenne Factor, they're having the conversation. Once upon a time, I think that was a fall game now that I think about it. Oklahoma State up 6 and looking for anything from an extra insurance run to, in theory, they could win the game here in the bottom of the 6th inning with a couple more runs. 9-1-2 hitters, Austin, Warsop, Davis. Except for this is Montgomery Henderson in the pinch hit role. Henderson doesn't have a lot of at-bats this year, but she's been highly productive, a .438 average on the year.
Yeah, and we've seen her a lot of times in these pitch hit opportunities. It's really hard to come in off the bench and produce in those moments. Just shows you the talent in this team that Coach G has on the bench, especially as a freshman too, coming in hitting .438. Not too bad.
Another pitcher getting loose for BYU should they be necessary. Henderson sees another one outside. It's a 3-1 count. And not only, I mean, obviously you'd like for hitters to have success if you're Coach Gajewski, but the more pitches you can see from Gianna Mares, the more information you gather for the next 2 games in this series. Off the end of the bat to center field. Brittingham on the light jog makes the catch.
agree with that point too, with Mares being sort of that ace pitcher of this Cougars staff. I was a little surprised to see her coming in later in the game, you know, already down 6 runs. I was not expecting her to be the one to come in relief in this game. But you're right, as much information as the Cowgirls can get is gonna help them throughout the rest of the series.
Tia Warsop has had a great day at the top of the Cowgirl order, setting the table for the rest of the lineup. She reached in her first at bat of the game, and that has really helped Oklahoma State keep the pressure on effectively nonstop throughout this contest.
She's a big reason why they've been able to get runners in scoring position almost every inning. She's got on in the first inning, the second inning, and the fourth inning. So just that pressure at the top of the lineup is huge.
Strike one gets Mares back into the at-bat a little bit. Warsop came in with a career .343 average at Oklahoma State. Pops this one up, left side. Is there room? Yes, not much room, but enough.
I liked what Mares has done so far in her outing. She's pounding the zone, and Coach Eakin said that when she finds the zone, she's really tough to beat in the circle. I think something that she struggled with throughout the course of the season is the walks, and we haven't seen any of those so far. I think just the first one with Claire Tim, but since then she's been pounding the zone, making quick work of the Cowgirls.
Rosie Davis, 2 for 3, most recently that 2-run home run. Quickly ahead in the count, 2-0.
I wish that we had some sort of inside source on, you know, the BYU dugout to understand why they switched Mares from being the starter to Schuler and then having Mares coming in relief. Just super interested in the, you know, the philosophy and the what Coach Eakin's seeing in the dugout that led to that change.
Yeah, I mean, could have been anything that to make that late of a change in the lineup. Might have not felt well and then felt better as the game went along. Who knows? Davis fouls that one off. A 2-2 count as we approach the 2-hour mark of this contest. Cowgirls and Cougars both looking for their first Big 12 series win, and Oklahoma State looking for the leg up if they can win game 1. That is a pitch that we've seen several times, that off speed trying to sink it back into the top of the zone, and Davis has quick enough hands, she was able to foul it off.
That pitch is so hard to see, I bet, in the batter's box. It kind of floats across the plate a little bit, especially coming from the left-hand side. I'm surprised that Rosie Davis even got a piece of that one.
I briefly thought she might have just punched it with her right hand. She just got way in on the hands, it looked like. Another 2-2. That one spun away. A little arm side run there. Counts full. That is a couple of foul balls that have almost ricocheted straight back out and hit Rosie Davis because they've been coming off the net with some heat.
Now Mares is spinning her pitches really well so far in this outing. Seems like she's putting a lot of different pitches out there and just mixing it up a lot, throwing to all different sides of the zone, going in, out, up, down, mixing in that off speed like we just saw. She missed that one, but I love what she's doing so far.
Mares has been very effective, but now the entirety of the starting lineup outside of J.L. Austin, who was just pinch hit for, will have an at-bat against Mares in this game. So they'll have all seen her at one point or another. Tim was the first batter to face her and drew the walk. Looks like we'll have a pinch hitter here for Oklahoma State. It'll be Lexi McDonald. McDonald, a senior out of Silo, Oklahoma. Silo known for its diamond sports. Play baseball year-round down there. No football team. It's up high for a ball, or at least not back in my day. That may have changed, I suppose, in the interim.
Are you a Silo
No,
native?
but played small school baseball, so
Gotcha.
Silo and Dale and Latta, a lot of those small schools, you knew that you had your hands full. Brief visit to the circle here. McDonald played in all 4 games on the road trip, started 3. Struggled a little bit, went 1 for 7, but did have an RBI.
Yeah, McDonald has kind of been one of those players throughout her time at Oklahoma State that's been in and out of the lineup a little bit, is often used as a pinch hit batter. And what I like about her is she competes very well in her opportunities. Last week against Wichita State, she had a really good pinch hit at bat, hit a ball really hard, and I think that's what led to her getting some starts against Arizona State last weekend. And so she just continuously tries to break into the lineup, puts good at-bats together.
Way ahead in the count here at 3-0. And takes a strike. Not surprising in a 3-0 count. That is fouled off over the left side. Full count, 2 outs. Davis at first will be on the move. A home run wins it for Oklahoma State by run rule. And out sends us to the top half of the 7th. And a foul ball means we'll just do it all again. It is one of the things I love about softball. You get in a situation like this and the possibilities are basically endless. So much can happen on any one play, especially once you start getting runners on. That's in there for a called strike 3. So Gianna Mares comes in and has put zeros on the board since entering the contest. She picks up her first strikeout of the game, getting McDonald looking. BYU, though, needs 6 to keep the game alive as we head to the 7th. Leading by 6, and after not scoring the first, they've been pretty consistent after that.
Yeah, those middle innings, 2, 3, 4, they put some runs on and gotten some power swings. Amanda Hassler and then Audrey Schneidmiller, Rosie Davis coming up with 2 outs with a big 2-run home run there. And so they've been able to jump ahead, but it's really Ruby Malin with her drop ball getting so many strikeouts and swings and misses from this Cougars lineup. She was outstanding through the first 4 innings of the game, and then Riley Crandall coming in here and trying to close the door in the top of the 7th.
8 strikeouts, 7 of them swinging from Ruby Malin. I mean, the plan is for her to have the rest of the night off. Cowgirls 3 outs away from getting the victory here in game 1 of this 3-game series. Crandall off the mark with the first 2 here. She got a ground out on the first pitch she threw in the 6th. An error and a walk put a couple runners on, but Crandall able to work around it, put a 0 on the board. Hard hit on the ground, right at the shortstop. Aubrey Jones, one away.
I love the way that Aubrey Jones recognized she had some extra time on that ball. It was a hard hit ball off the bat. Took a step back and shuffled a little bit and made a nice throw over to first base. Good job there by Aubrey Jones picking up her pitcher, and Crandall continuing to pound the zone and finding success.
It's not often you have that amount of time on a play on the infield, but that ball is hit so hard and right at her. Settled in nicely to make the throw. Here's Bree Townsend. One error charge to this Cowgirl defense, but they've really been good over the course of this contest. Off speed, just off the mark. It's even at 1-1. Townsend a strikeout and a ground out. This bottom third of the order is where there's been a little bit of a struggle this year for BYU. You look at a lot of the numbers in the top part of the order. 338, 302, 370, 358. But then the bottom three, at least in the starting lineup tonight, are all 225 or lower.
I think there's been a lot of shuffling too around that bottom half of the lineup. Like we've been mentioning, BYU unfortunately with a lot of injuries on this roster this season, so they've been trying to mix it around and put the pieces together, and that bottom half of the lineup still trying to figure it out a little bit and, you know, get some at-bats, have some good at-bats.
And just gain some experience. Off the end of the bat, the pop-up snagged by Schneidmiller, again out of her crouch behind home plate. 2 away.
Crandall coming into this game, getting some groundouts to the infield, only gave up that one walk. Had a base runner get on because of an error, but other than that, she's been really solid. And you think that the Cowgirls are going to kind of want to roll her from this outing, possibly onto the start tomorrow.
Lexi Bennett will pitch hit here, and she takes strike one. The 5 infielder pattern in play here again. And we talked about this a little bit earlier, but let's take a quick look at the night of Audrey Schneidmiller. 2 for 2 with a solo home run. And she's made a play on a bunt out in front of home plate. She caught that pop-up a moment ago. But you think about all those drop balls, some of them in the dirt that were getting strikeouts, and she was an absolute wall behind home plate. She knocked them all down, made the tag or the throw to first.
Yeah, she has been so solid behind the plate throughout her entire career at Oklahoma State. And I think it's so important for the pitchers to have confidence to throw that drop ball to her, knowing that she's going to block it and be able to, you know, get a drop third strikeout at first base and just continuously be a wall back there behind the plate.
2-1 is shot foul over the third base side. I think it's still Warsop in left, who was on a dead sprint for that one, even though it carried out by a significant margin. That is Tia Warsop. When you put 5 on the infield, it makes me unconfident about everything at that point.
It's an interesting strategy, and I haven't seen a lot of it from the Oklahoma State defense so far this season. But I love the idea. These slappers tend to hit the ball on the ground to the infield, give yourself the opportunity to get the out.
Foul ball corralled by Davis. You saw the 33 of Gabby Castillo, who's into the game as a defensive replacement, playing what I'm going to call roving shortstop. She's almost at like a double play depth of shortstop there. And then Aubrey Jones has moved over, essentially backing up Rosie Davis on a ball that might scoot past her. That one missed low. The count is full.
Yeah, it works out pretty well, too, because Castillo, who's playing in the middle of the field, has gotten some time at second base this season. So she's probably the perfect one to come in and play that roving shortstop position.
3-2. Fouled off. Crandall trying to go 2 scoreless here. Appeared in 1 game over the road trip, went 4 innings. This is looped in the air to left. Warsaw back a few steps for it, but she makes the grab. And it's a shutout for Oklahoma State to take game 1 of the series with BYU. They out-hit the Cougars 10-1, each team with an error, but Ruby Malin got it going, bunch of punch-outs early, and then Riley Crandall comes and finishes off the game.
Combined 1 hitter from the pitching staff, Malin and Crandall, great 1-2 punch today. And I think that the Cowgirls really just carried on the momentum from that win that they got on Sunday at Arizona State, a big win over Grand Canyon University, a really tough midweek game. And today coming in and getting that Thursday night Big 12 series win is huge for them to continue that momentum through the rest of the Big 12 season.
And that 1 hit, a grounder on the infield that Cowgirls just didn't quite get to in time, so nothing that left the outfield. And then offensively, you saw some more timely hitting from Oklahoma State in this game.
The Cowgirls were definitely more consistent than I've seen this entire season from them. They kept putting the pressure on. They were getting runners on base, and we saw some big power swings from them. I think all around, this is a great win for the Cowgirls and what they needed to start this series.
The alma mater in full swing here at Cowgirl Stadium as Oklahoma State gets it done by a final score of 6-0 on a Thursday evening here at Cowgirl Stadium. We'll be back to have the game for you tomorrow at 6 o'clock again as Oklahoma State looks to pick up the series win, and BYU still seeking its first win in Big 12 play this year. Thanks for tuning in. This has been the Big 12 on ESPN.